Hello and welcome. So nice to see you again. Thank you so much for joining me for a few minutes for this conversation today. As you know, those of you who follow me, my granddaughter and her friend came to Florida to visit with me while they were going to a country music concert in Fort Lauderdale. And we had the best conversation, and I want to share that with you today. Let us all just take a minute, stop, and look around and be thankful for everything that we have right now in this moment. It seems as though when you're an elder, you get asked a lot of questions because everyone is curious about your life and about what your ideas are on life. Well, my granddaughter is 18, and she and her friend came down here to Fort Lauderdale. They came to Fort Lauderdale for a country music festival and had a great time. We went out to breakfast, as you know, because I've shown pictures. And while we were sitting after breakfast and walking along, and we sat down near the beach, she asked me a question, and she said, "Nana, what advice would you give me that will help me age just the way you have?" I said, "Well, I don't know whether I can help you age, but I can tell you in all the years that I have lived, things that I have learned that have helped me lead a better life, and maybe not a longer life, but a better life." And I said, "Well, McLean, I have learned a lot in my lifetime. I've made a lot of mistakes, but the best thing about those mistakes is that I took the lessons from them so that I was not making those same mistakes over again." But the first thing I told her is, in your life, do what is right, not what is easy. And I want you to think about that. Sometimes we take the easy route because it's, less complicated and good for us and maybe not really good for everybody else. But I want you to take the other road. I want you to do what is right, whether it's in your college, whether it's with your friends or your workplace or your family. Don't take the easy road, but just sit down and think about it. And maybe the easy road is the right road. But don't take the easy road and always think about taking the right road. Now, I know a lot of you probably have had circumstances in your life when you have had to make that decision. And maybe when you were younger, you made those decisions because it was easier for you. But now that you're mature and you've lived a little bit longer, maybe you realize that that was a mistake and you should have taken the right road. I have always tried to take the right road, although it has not always been easy. And mainly, I think probably the biggest thing that I did is when my husband became ill, I gave up a thriving career on television. It was so hard for me because I absolutely loved what I did. I loved getting up and going to work every single day. I loved it. But I knew that when I lost my husband and when I was the main caretaker of my children, I knew the right road was to be with them and not to have them lose both their mother and their father. I knew the right road was to stay with them and to raise them and to be able to have some type of work that I could support us all, but yet that I could be there with them more. It wasn't easy, but I knew it was what I should do. It was the right road, and it's because I loved them. So that is the first thing that I would say to my granddaughter or to anyone. Always try to take the right road. When you're younger, weren't we full of dreams? Oh, I can remember the dreams that I had were absolutely maybe out of touch for when I was living in this small industrial town in Ohio. But dreams are only dreams until you take action. Maybe it takes you a long time to realize that dream. It took me 50 years to realize my dream of being on the stage in New York City and acting or being in film or being on television. It took me 50 years, but I never let go of that dream back in my mind. The time frame may not be the one that is meant for you, but if you have a dream, don't only dream that dream, but take action to try to make it come true. Treat others always the way that you want to be treated. You know, at the end of all of my videos, I always said, be kind to whomever crosses your path. And that's because this has been one of the things that I have learned throughout the life. Treat others the way that you want to be treated. Because I have found everything in life that you give out, you get back. Everything. If you give out negativity and hate and spite and jealousy, that'll come back to bite you. It really will. But if you give out love, support, kindness, all of those things will come back to you. But I do believe so much in treating others the way that I want to be treated. I think that is extremely, extremely important. Take risks. And if you fail, don't stop there. Don't stop. Get up off of your knees. As I've said 1,000 times, get up off of your knees and don't quit. Because if you quit, you will never realize anything in life. Never. Everything will just stop and fail.